What's up, everybody, from Facebook, YouTube, or wherever you're listening to us from? My name is Pedros Rating, and as always, I'm here with my good friends Zach Lewis and Travis Groves. And welcome to our 17th episode of Netflix and Chillin. Last week,
17 whole episodes.
17 whole episodes, man.
And they said we couldn't do it. They said we would stop at 16.
Yeah.
Who's they?
They all said it right when we started. They're like, they're going to make no more than 16 episodes. But we sure showed them.
Yeah.
That you still didn't answer who they is.
Don't worry about it.
Our imaginary friends.
Pedro, just because you don't have any friends doesn't you shouldn't project that on us.
Oh, man.
I'm pretty sure I have a good amount of friends.
Good amount. Not a lot. He's got the perfect amount of friends.
Yeah, he doesn't need any more than the ones he has, but he doesn't need any less because
Any less.
it's like in a perfect.
He's got the perfect amount of friends.
It's in a perfect range. I like
Absolutely.
it. I dig.
3's a good number.
Yeah, fuck you.
One is the loneliest of.
Last week we reviewed The Discovery, which we all thought was fabulous. This week we are
Fabulous disappointment.
Yeah. This week we are going to be reviewing the recently Oscar-nominated documentary 13th. And
Oh, it's not 13 Reasons Why? All right,
No.
we already did that.
Yeah, we already did that.
Shit, I rewatched it.
Well, guys, we're going to be going into full spoilers, so if you have not seen the documentary yet, stop, go watch it, then come back. But if you don't care about spoilers...
There's
then
not too much to spoil. It's just like history, you know?
Yeah.
I really say that a lot with the
Most people have
documentaries
already
watch.
seen what's happened.
But yeah, let's continue. So yeah, this was a bit of a kind of a depressing-esque documentary. I mean, how did you
fairly
feel
heavy.
How did you feel about it, Travis?
It was fairly heavy. It was a fairly heavy documentary. I enjoyed it. I thought it was very, very well put together. They did get some counter arguments in there as well, which I really liked. I like to see some good journalism in there, but I think that it was definitely very well put together.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, how did you feel about it, Zach?
Oh, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was phenomenally made. I thought, obviously, the message is incredible. Just so much, like, fucked up shit, you know? Like, and then, obviously, towards the end of it, like, parts of it were, like, hard to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was just, you know, the things that, you know, we have to look back upon and, you know, just think that, you know, America, the country that the three of us live in, like, was capable of doing those terrible things. You know, it's just like, it's sometimes hard to think that, you know, that crap even happens, you know, with slavery, everything, you know, and, you know, having to deal with the way our justice system works. It's terrible. And, you know, the massive amounts of police brutality that we hear on the news all the time, it's crazy. And, you know, we're still trying to fight the good fight. And I don't know, man, it's crazy. I think this documentary really just tried to shed a light on, like, you know, us fighting to get, you know, better justice and trying to, you know, get a, you know, better perception on what we could do better as humans, you know, because the things that we just do in this country is just it's terrible, you know. So I mean I really don't know how much else I can get into this. I mean, were there like aspects that you want to like jump into?
I want to jump into, because I actually, I always thought, because, you know, like, you see it in, like, cartoons or, like, even movies or shows, you see the people in prison, they're, like, working, they're, like, printing out license plates, like, that's, like, the classic thing, you know? And I always wonder, I'm like, are they getting paid for that? Like, is that, like, legal? Because that's kind of like slave labor. And in this one, it literally shows you, which I didn't even know, that it's called 13th, by the way, because the 13th Amendment, which is the amendment after the Civil War that abolished slavery. And what I never knew is that the wording of it says, like, except for in cases of as punishment of a crime. So, like, if you, like, commit a crime, you're able to be punished through slavery. Like, that is still there.
Yeah.
And so it started back then, and just how they showed ever since the end of segregation, just how much which obviously, like, the official segregation, you know, like, obviously we still have discrimination today, and it just sucks. But the end of, like, the official segregation in 1960s, just each decade, how it just spiked and spiked the amount of prisoners. And just right from the get-go, like the first line in the entire documentary is Barack Obama, and you hear him say, he's like, the United States holds 5% of the world's population, but 25% of the world's prisoners. Like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
That's absolutely crazy to me.
insane.
And it's also towards the end they show you that that African Americans make up 6.5% of the population in the United States, but 40.2% of the prisoners. And that a white male, his chances of going to jail or prison at some point in his life is 1 in 17, where a black male is 1 in 3. Like
That's
those are eye-opening numbers to me. It was absolutely crazy to see that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, there's also like a lot of things that go through my head with this because there's a lot of, a lot of boundaries with this type of, conversation because you don't know like what toes you might accidentally step on with a certain topic because it's just like don't get me wrong, like there are a lot of unjustified, cases where certain people get sent to jail for no apparent reason, when clearly they didn't do anything wrong.
Like the whole Stephen Avery thing we did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like on Make a Murderer,
exactly.
or even in this one, they had I forget the guy's name, but he was in prison for what, like 3 years for something he never even did, and they're like, it was just like Stephen Avery. We're like, listen, you're never going to be eligible for parole if you never say that you did it.
Yeah.
Like you have to take guilt for it. He's like, well, I didn't do it, and then just like Stephen Avery, it comes out that he was actually innocent. And he's released, and then lo and behold, what was it, 2 years later, he ended up killing himself because
which was so sad.
So sad to see. And it's amazing to me how they can take like someone from just a middle class family and put them in a jail, and they're like, yeah, your bail's set at $10,000 and your trial's in 3 months. So unless you either take guilt or like plead guilty, and we can think about like a settlement or like an arrangement, or you're going to be in jail for 3 months because we know you can't afford the bail, like your family can't afford it, which is so crazy to me that that's even legal. And I'm so happy that I got a chance to see this because it really shed a light on all of this stuff that like I never really like fully looked into.
Yeah, seriously. And it's just like the amount of cases like with the Trayvon Martin thing with George Zimmerman, I think
George Zimmerman, yeah.
That's insane, dude. Like, and that happens, dude. I live not even like 10, 20 minutes away from Sanford.
Yeah, and they talk about that, how what really got George Zimmerman off was the whole stand your ground law, where if you feel threatened, you can kill someone. But he was the one that was following him throughout the neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly.
At some point, he had to have gotten out of the car. Trayvon Martin didn't pull him out of the car, okay? So Trayvon Martin had every right to stand his ground as well. Then he shot him and said, well, he was standing his ground. Like, it's crazy to me that this stuff happens all the time. And then at the end, man, what was his name? Philando Castile, I think his name was. At the end, for having a busted brake light, they got pulled over, and there he is bleeding out. And that was just last year, I believe, the year before, and there was a kid in the car when they shot him.
Yeah, I remember when that video went viral, and I watched it on Facebook, and I'm like, dude, this is insane. Especially last year, specifically, there was a lot of cases of just police brutality.
But that's what I love about this, because at the end of it, they make mention of that. They're like, listen, like, this is just getting into the limelight now, but it's not only starting now. This has been going on forever. Now we have a way to record it. Now we have a way to put it on the internet, so now we have a way to force a conversation about it. But this has always been going on since the beginning of time. And like it's like the guy says at the end, he's like, yeah, we don't know what the next stage is going to be, but there's always going to be a next stage.
Yeah, exactly. What's going to come next, because before, we really couldn't prove anything. Now there's cameras everywhere. Everybody has a cell phone. You can literally document everything now on a device. So it's just like, what's going to be after that? It's literally going to be like, I'm not going to go and say there's going to be another civil war, but it's like, I don't know.
I just loved how it was put together, how at the end they had the overlay of Trump talking. And they had the old footage that they showed like right at the beginning of the black guy walking down the street and all the white people are like pushing him from behind. Then they intercut it with today, the black lady walking and all the white people like pushing her, telling them like, hey, get lost. And it was just intercut in such a phenomenal way that it made it so much more powerful because of how well it was put together and how well it was made.
Yeah, seeing that almost like put me to tears. Like it's just like I said earlier, it's just like we as human beings are capable of this atrocity. Like it's sad, to know that I'm a part of this, party of like just vile people, that can do this type of things. They even have the audacity to think that this is right in their mind.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like every group of people, there are good and bad people.
Yeah.
Like there are good and bad white people, there are good and bad cops, there are good and bad black people, there are good and bad everyone.
Yeah.
But when you look at it from a statistical standpoint, it's eye popping because like how just one sided it is. It's literally eye popping. At some point, you have to draw a line and say, no, this is not okay. Like I refuse to stand for this anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Travis, me and Zach have been talking a lot. I mean, is there anything else you want to put any more input on?
I mean, really, I thought it was just very well put together. I come from a journalistic standpoint because I took journalism in college. That was like my minor was journalism. So I come from a very like, is it like in my mind I'm always looking to see if it's put together very well from a journalistic standpoint. In journalism, you have to be super unbiased. Like journalism, the journalistic code is you're supposed to be unbiased. I mean, I know that there's exceptions like Fox News and stuff, but I think from a journalistic standpoint, it was very well put together because they even had the guy from what's that organization, the PR guy from the organization come in and speak.
Alec.
Yeah, Alec. They had him come in and speak on behalf of them for the documentary. So to some degree,
they had Newt Gingrich, the Republican representative.
To some degree, they did have both sides in the documentary. I think it's so important to show both sides, to show where each side is coming from, so everyone can understand where both sides are coming from. I think that's so important in any conversation.
I thought the Alex stuff was crazy too. Now that you brought that up, how it's like literally these bills that are being passed, being written by corporations. Like you have Walmart like designing laws in this country. Like that is absolutely. Now Walmart, of course, stepped out once all the controversy happened, but there are still a lot of big corporations that pay money in there. And you have politicians today, like they showed the video of Ted Cruz, who just ran for president. He was the Republican runner-up. He was the runner-up to Donald Trump in the Republican race and the GOP. And he said, he's like, yeah, I'm proud to stand with Alec. And I'm like, this is crazy to me. Like, how can no one catch this? I feel like everyone should watch this because it's just so eye-opening in all these different levels of everything.
I think with everything you have to take with a grain of salt, though. You have to do your own research. You
absolutely do.
Even with this documentary, like this is a good piece as far as like shedding some light on it, but you definitely have to go out and do your own research because you don't know how much bias is actually put into this documentary. Like that's the biggest thing is you got to watch bias.
Yeah, it is. You can tell there is a bias towards it, but it's not. I wouldn't call it a bias in this one per se. I'd call it trying to get their message out there. Yeah. Because obviously it's a strong message and it's a good message, and they're not forcing on you, which is why they did have the other opinions in there as well. But there was, I guess you can call it a bias, but it was really just it was like almost like an urging. Like, guys, this is not okay.
Yeah,
like,
this is a conversation.
We have to do something. We need to have a conversation about this.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I definitely think that it's more of a get your message out there type of thing than an actual bias. And I think that's why it was so well put together, honestly, because
even the stuff with how they started with Nixon and all that, where he was talking about the whole law and order type thing, and then they had Reagan come up and saying that, and then Bill Clinton. You had everyone coming up, and it was, and I'm not saying that like that Richard Nixon or Ronald Reagan were specifically doing that for that very reason, to sort of discriminate like that, but they had people with them that knew, hey, this will get us votes because this will make people feel safe if we tell them we're gonna put more people in prison. And they opened up more prisons, and they just had to put more people in there to fill them up. And then obviously at the end you see like all the companies that use prison labor, which is literally just like a form of slavery. It's crazy to me. It's 2017. This is going on.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's insane.
I agree.
Yeah, so, you guys want to just jump into our ratings?
Yeah, we can just jump into our ratings.
Yeah. All right, so, I'll start with myself. It was. I mean, it's really rather difficult to rate a documentary. But I'll just go based on the presentation of what was given to us. So I'll give it like a strong, very strong, say 9.7 out of 10. So 9.7 for me. Travis, what about you?
I wouldn't give it that high. I think it was very well put together, and I think it does definitely bring up some interesting conversation pieces. I don't think it was, life changing or anything. I think it could potentially be life changing. I just don't think that it's going to be as life changing as, like, I don't know, something else. I don't know, probably like a 8.8, I would say.
8.8. All right, Zach, what about you?
Yeah, listen, I love this from beginning to end. I actually told you, Pedro, that last night I was like, I'm just gonna watch a couple minutes of it, see kind of what it is, and I'll watch the whole thing. I ended up watching the whole thing. Right from the first 5 minutes, I was hooked, and I watched the entire. I think it was phenomenal. I think it had a great message. I think it was very informative. I thought the opinions were great. They had a lot of very, very knowledgeable, very, very well-informed and well-spoken people talking in the documentary on both sides. And which I didn't mention, one of my favorite things about it was how they would transition. They would intercut to the music, but they'd have the lyrics coming up. Or, like, anytime someone would say a word like criminal, like, post up on the screen there. I just felt like that was such a phenomenal way to really make words hit hard and get you. Because, like, if it was just like a black screen and you heard, like, the song, you'd be like, all right, yeah, that's some rap, that's, like, rap music. But then when you actually see the words and they put in, like, the prison bars in there,
yeah,
it just has such a phenomenal and such a deep, like, feeling from it. And, like I said, there was really, to me, just like no moment of this documentary where I was not just like just enthralled to my screen, and I was just like watching it so intently because of just how amazing it was put together and how just amazingly informative it was. And so I'm going to give it a very strong 9.5 out of 10. I do agree with Pedro. I think it was absolutely phenomenal, and it's just a great conversation starter. I feel like that everyone should really watch this because like we have to realize that like we have to do more. Like there's so many wrong things, not just in the prison system, but like in the entire nation, in just the way we treat people and everything. And I feel like if everyone just did a little bit and put their focus on and are able to just stand up and say, hey, this isn't right for really anything, I think you can make a hell of a lot of difference. And I just feel like it's a great conversation starter for that aspect.
Definitely. All right, guys. So our P&Z media score with all of our scores put together and averaging out comes out to 9.3 out of 10. So yeah, there's our P&Z media score. All right, guys, we're going to get into our next segment, which is Rotten Tomatoes, where me and Zach are going to be guessing what the Rotten Tomatoes score is. And Zach, who do you want to go first?
I'll let you go first. I will defer.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna more or less just stick with my score. So I'm gonna give it 97%.
Yeah, I know it's going to be high. I think I told you earlier, Pedro, when the Oscars was coming out, I was, like, doing some research on, like, all the categories, because we were making our picks, and I was doing research on, like, all of the different nominations of some of the lesser-known categories, and I remember this was nominated for Best Feature Documentary, which was won by O.J. Made in America, also a phenomenal documentary, by the way, if you haven't seen it. It was an ESPN 30 for 30, very, very good. But I remember the one thing it said, I was like, yeah, we think OJ Made in America is going to win this, but we feel like 13th is the better documentary. We feel like it is the best documentary like made in years, and I wholeheartedly agree. So I feel like this has to be really, really high up there. So I'm going to go slightly lower than my percent, just like 1%. So I'll just go 94%.
Okay.
Pedro, what'd you say again?
I said 97.
Pedro's more correct. It's 96%.
96%.
Oh, okay.
Very good to see, though, because like I said, it was phenomenal.
All right, guys, we're going to get into our recommendation portion of the show where Travis is going to be recommending a show or a movie for you guys to watch on Netflix. So, Travis, what do you have to recommend?
If it was still on Netflix, I would recommend Jiro Dreams of Sushi. It's amazing. However, since it's not on Netflix, I'm going to recommend the best... It was the best documentary short winner for this year. It was called The White Helmets. It's
tell me about that. You said it was very good.
It's very, very well put together. It's about basically it's about a group of people in Syria who remember the whole Aleppo thing. It was like in the Aleppo area. It's this group of Syrians who basically they're called the White Helmets because they wear white helmets. And as soon as like an attack, because that's a big war zone with like Russia, and when an attack happens, they basically rush in to save people. That's their entire thing, entirely volunteer. They don't get paid to do it. Entirely just something that they volunteer for and they do, and it's so well put together, and you really just like feel for the characters. You feel for the people of Syria, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it sounds good. All right, so guys, yeah, so definitely check that out on Netflix. And I think it's Zach that's going to be telling us what we are going to be watching and reviewing for next week. So Zach, what do we have?
Yeah, so this one is actually one that I picked out a little while ago that I knew I would do it for my next one, which I'm very excited about. I don't know if any of you have ever watched Mystery Science Theater 3000. It was originally on YouTube, right, Travis?
No, it was on TV, I think, but it's very old. It's like 70s or 80s.
Yeah, it was very old.
I think it's
Basically,
80s.
it's old, like not good, like very dated, like sci-fi movies, and they do commentary on it, and they just released a new season of it on Netflix. So we'll be doing that now. It is 14 movies; they're an hour and a half long each, so we're not going to do all of them. So basically, we decided like a fun little sort of game style way to do this, where it'll be myself, Pedro, and Travis, and our good friend Kevin Danger Johnson coming back. He's been on a couple episodes of this show. He's been on our podcast a couple times. We always love to have him. We will all be doing one movie, and next week we will be sort of like trying to like explain the plot of the movie, and we're each going to be like reviewing like our own individual one, like quick mini reviews. Yeah, so we did like a random drawing before this podcast started, and I can tell you that the one I'm doing is Jan Gary. Pedro is doing The Beast of Hollow Mountain. Travis is doing The Loves of Hercules, and Kevin is doing Wizards of the Lost Kingdom 2, which is amazing because Wizards of the Lost Kingdom 1 is on there, but because of the random drawing, he got Wizards of the Lost Kingdom 2, so he's just going to have to jump right into the second one and see. He was not going to know what's going on, but none of us going to know what's going on, but these things are always really funny to watch, so I'm actually really excited to do something a little bit more lighthearted.
Here's actually a fun fact. Each 2-hour episode would feature a single movie in its entirety, along with the associated public domain films. So they're all public domain.
Yeah. Very, they're very dated, but the commentary is very, very funny on them. Mm-hmm. So I'm very excited.
Yeah. So I can't wait to do that with you guys. It should be really fun. So yeah, guys, thank you for staying tuned with our latest episode of Netflix and Chillin. Make sure to stay tuned for next week when we do these little movies that we have to review. And remember to stay tuned for our other weekly show, which is Real Talk. We just did our 20th episode of Real Talk, which is amazing. I can't believe we've done this for 20 weeks now. So
it's like 5 months.
Yeah, pretty much. And guys, we can't wait until we get into our it's a little, early to be talking about our 1-year anniversary, but it's going to be cool because when our 1-year anniversary comes around, we're going to be talking about Star Wars The Last Jedi, which falls around the same time when we reviewed Rogue One. So that's going to be pretty cool. So yeah.
The chances of that happening were pretty awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, guys, remember to subscribe, comment, like, thumbs up. Do whatever you guys can to support this channel. Make sure to also check out our gaming channel called P&Z Gaming. And so yeah, guys, we will see you in our next video. Peace out.